All right, so this is going to be lesson 8. I'm actually don't have something to erase this with. Let's do something different now. I'm just going to go over my morning routine. Morning routine. All right, so normally we just go through the day, or I'll speak for myself. I was just going through the day doing like whatever, but I wasn't actually getting anywhere. Napoleon Hill says that drifters, let's say he says that they don't get anywhere. He says something about drifters. But if you have a goal, then it's kind of like you can set your sail and move towards it, and you can set your rudder to move towards something specific, right? And as soon as you do that, right? So let's say this is you in the morning. If you don't really kind of plan out what you want to do for the day and where you're going and where you want to be like in a week or a month or a year, you don't have a goal, right? And you might just kind of just drift and not really be anywhere further ahead tomorrow than you are today. But if you have a goal, an objective, somewhere that you want to move towards, then every single choice, that you're given throughout the day, like every time there's any kind of event, let's say this is an event, you have a choice then of how you want to respond to that. It's either going to move you towards your goal or away from your goal. Right? So there's always, whenever something happens today, you want to think, what is my goal and how am I going to respond to this in order to go towards my goal? So let's say you want to get healthy and work out, and somebody says, hey, let's go for drinks, and you're like, is that towards my goal? Well, it might be if it's part of socialization and stuff, but let's say you want to wake up early in the morning, go work out and stuff like that. So depending on what you want to do, that's going to be dependent on how you're going to react to stuff as they come up throughout the day, and it's going to move you closer towards your goal or set you off track. Now, the thing is, this choice here is likely going to be more common that you're going to make that right choice that moves you towards your goal as a conscious choice. Okay, you're consciously aware of this, and you're making a decision to move towards it. Now, what happens usually here is we get off track and we make unconscious choices, right? We just respond to stuff according to our pre-programming in our minds that is just kind of like unconscious. We just, just out of habit or something, get a donut or something instead of making a conscious choice to do something different, right? And move ourselves towards the goal. So this is kind of like unconscious decisions that usually veer us off. We're not really thinking about what we want, but we want to decide what we want in the morning and review that throughout the day so that we can consciously make choices that, are going to move us towards our goal. All right. So, most people have probably heard of stuff, but there's 4 boxes for unconscious, that lead from unconscious incompetence to, where you're driving a stick shift and you don't know that you can't drive a stick shift because you're unconscious of the fact that you have incompetence. But then if you try to drive it, then you're conscious of the fact that you can't drive it. So you have conscious incompetence, unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, and then you practice it consciously and you start to become good at it, right? So you have conscious competence. You can drive it, but you have to put a lot of thought into it. But eventually it becomes habit and you just have unconscious competence, for driving. So, for example, what we want to do is consistently make the right choices towards our objectives that we want until those choices become habitual and they just become unconscious, competent, habits towards our goal. And if we do that, then we can just focus on where we're going and not put so much thought in how we respond to stuff. Because if you're driving, it's really hard to kind of pay attention to where you're going if you're just learning how to drive, because most of your attention, 90% of it's on like how to drive. But as soon as you know how to drive, that becomes your unconscious competence, then you can just focus on where you want to go, and you don't have to give that any thought anymore, right? So we want to create habits that will get us to our goals, and that's why we can do that with cards, like flashcards and stuff, to kind of bring up different experience, different scenarios, and then practice making the right choice in our mind. Kind of go through, how would I want to respond, right? Because we actually need the opportunity to have something happen and respond to it over and over again until it becomes a habit. We can do that with flashcards, and that's part of the programming that we can do towards better habits by reviewing what we want. And in the morning when I get up, I work out, and that gets me kind of awake. I think about what I want, and then I try to remember that, so during the daytime I can take conscious decisions towards what I want, and hopefully that just becomes an unconscious thing, and I can just every day take the right, create the right habits and take the right habits to go towards the objectives that I lay out in advance. Otherwise, we can just drift and not really get anywhere, further tomorrow than where we are today.